Gamers, nerds, countrymen, lend me your ears. I am here to bear the AMTP, not to praise them. Or whatever the hell that organization was that was causing the writers' strike. But a deal has been reached. The writers have agreed. The writers' strike is done. The ha-has are back. The money is flowing. But the actors have risen. They shall still strike until their demands are met. And here on episode 343 of the Fake Nerd Podcast, while we are so glad the writers are getting what they properly deserve, long live the actors' strike. Hot labor summer is not over, especially here in Southern California, because it is October and it's still freaking hot outside. What the damn hell?
Hot labor forever.
Hot labor forever. I have been.
Didn't the Kaiser nurses just start striking?
They did. The Kaiser workers are striking. If I remember correctly, the auto workers are still on strike.
Mm-hmm.
A few
Didn't they just get a deal? Didn't they just get a deal? Or somebody else? Some other giant strike force just also got a deal, but I don't remember because so much is happening at once. Which is lovely.
I know the UPS workers got a big deal.
Yeah, it was a little while ago now. Though.
Yeah.
Anyway, Ben, introduce us.
There's just so many strikes. Yeah, I am Ben Magnet. I am here with my bros, Brandon T. McClure.
Hello.
Ryan Eliopoulos.
Hot.
And we are sans Sparks Witty today, but he is off doing something or other. I honestly, I don't know. I forgot what he had to do. I honestly forgot what he had to do today.
He's helping friend of the show, Xander.
Yes, he's helping friend of the show. Yes, he is up north. All right, cool. Party on Wayne, party on Garth. But the three of us are still here to talk about stuff. Lots of stuff.
Well.
No,
there isn't that really a lot to do this week. Even if there was, SAG has still asked us to, withhold talking about promoting these kind of projects. Look, now that the WGA strike is over, there have been a lot of announcements about writing teams going back to work or even just starting. A few shows have been renewed and a few shows have been announced, but we're not going to be talking about a lot of that stuff. But we will be talking about the deal that they received, which brings me to the links in our description.
Ooh,
as always, the strike information is down there. Now with the added bonus of the VFX union petition. Real quickly, I want to make sure I have the right link down there. Yeah, so it's the petition for the VFX union, because that's been big talking point recently is to get the VFX workers unionized. We'll talk a little bit about that, but the petition to get them unionized is linked below, as well as the petition for the Disney Animation Guild, because as we mentioned before, Bob Iger is not choosing to acknowledge their petition to be part of the union, the Animation Guild specifically. So that's linked below. Please sign both of those petitions. Because SAG-AFTRA is still on strike, guys, donate if you can. This is, lot. There's still a fight ahead of them. So please, if you can, donate. But the WGA has won their strike, and they won really good. So please, I have linked in the description below what they won. Essentially, everything they won, and we'll talk about it, but it's a good deal. So please check out the description below for more of that information, because we're not going to go in detail with it. A lot of it is jargon that I just frankly don't understand. But it is there for anyone who wants to take a look. But that said, there are other links in the description, quite a lot, because, guys, Basement Arcade Spooktober is here.
Thank the spooky lords.
Basement Arcade Spooks. I woke up a half hour ago. Basement Arcade Spooktober has arrived in full force, because there is not one, not two, but 5 parts. Hold on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 parts of Dead Space available for your viewing pleasure.
Halfway there, almost.
Is it really halfway?
Almost.
Yeah, but this is my first time ever playing the game Dead Space. I know friend of the show, Patrick Brickhouse over at the Retro Blast podcast. Dead Space is one of his favorite games of all time. He just recently got a killer tattoo of it, so I I have a feeling he's very excited watching me scare the ever crap out of myself. But I have to say, I love this game. I can see why
Nice.
people love this game. This game is so. I mean, yes, it is spooky, but it is really, really fun. It is fun to. It's also just satisfying when you get after you get scared by a monster, but you take them down and then you just stomp on them because it's like screw you for scaring me.
And they usually throw up items. Like, so you kill someone, you stomp on them, like, hey, here's a med pack. Like,
Yeah,
thanks.
but I mean that's like the signal that you know they're dead. But at the same time, you still get that that satisfying squish noise after you stop when you stop on them. So it's therapeutic, I would say.
Very cool. Well, that's not the only Spooktober out there because there are 2 other Spooktobers. One of them is Dark Deception, the PS5 demo. We put Ben through. I was a part of that one. It was Pac-Man, but with killer monkeys.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
evil Pac-Man.
Like 5 killer monkeys. No, there's 3 killer monkeys in a big ass maze, and it was first person view, so it was really hard to figure out where I needed to go. I mean, there was a mini map that helped, but those monkeys! I hate those monkeys.
It's a shorter episode. I went back and watched that one. But it was really funny because Ben like started to get like he was like determined. He's like, I'm gonna get these freaking crystals.
Mm-hmm. One more round.
Mm-hmm. It's as scary as those monkeys are. I'm not gonna say they weren't scary after like the first time because they're always scary. They're giant symbol monkeys with giant jagged teeth and blood on. They're absolutely terrifying. But the cool thing about that, even though it is a demo, you do get. It's not that you get mad at the game. You get mad at the fact that you know you can beat this. It's just every time that something pops up, you're just like, son of a bitch.
The really fun part was in the beginning when Ben's just like, okay, I got this, and you're like, Ben, there's something behind you.
Yeah, that happens. That happened a lot.
It was a good time. But it's my turn for a spooky game in the next link down below, which is Tall Poppy, which is a game that you guys already put Ben through. They decided to put me through it this year.
I would consider that like PG scary. It's more like haha scary as opposed to like I'm gonna murder you scary.
Yeah, I had a more tense time than I thought. Well, going back to it, I'm not quite sure why. Like when you're in it, because you kind of you're like anticipating scares. Because like I had no idea what this game was going into it. But it was a good time. I really enjoyed playing that one.
I'm glad.
It's a quick game, and by the end of it, you're just gonna like oh. Yeah, so that was good. But there's more Basement Arcade, guys. I don't stop talking about Basement Arcade because not only is Spooktober going on, but Mortal Kombat 11, 2 parts, which finishes up the main campaign. So Aftermath will be coming soon. So 2 parts 5 and 6. Great game, guys. Great game. Mortal Kombat 11 is a lot of fun. I'm glad we played it.
Me too. Every word.
Moving on. Animation Station, Animation Station released the final. We didn't get a chance to record Last Evolution Kizuna, but we did finish up Digimon Adventure Tri, Ben and myself.
That we
did. We have finished all 6 parts of Digimon Adventure Tri, and the final episode, Digimon Adventure Tri Future, is in the description below. What a great time that was, Ben.
That was.
I really loved doing that with you. Can't wait to get back to it with Kizuna. But boy, are those movies a mixed bag of just solid ideas and just not great execution.
There's a plot or there's a point in Last Evolution Kizuna that I really want to talk about, but I'll save it for the Animation Station episode. Sure. But you are 100% right. Those Digimon films, they start off really strong. Like Reunion is like the episodes, the Star Wars Episode 7 of the Digimon Adventure Tri films, because it's the nostalgia bait. You get all the characters back together. It's like, oh, I remember that, and then they start doing things differently with determination, and then it's like, okay, cool, we're on a good roll, and then it's just,
Well, it's Future, I think, has a lot of really good things in it, but like I'm not going to spoil the ending, but it ends on kind of a wet blanket of an
Yeah.
ending. I'm
Oh,
not going to
100%.
exactly spoil what it is, but there's been for the past 3 movies they've been engaging in this idea that is kind of this metatextual Digimon idea of King Drazel, which is our name for it. It's actually Yggdrasil in Japan, and this is a villain from I think Ghost Game, which is not the most recent Digimon series, but anyway. So like they bring in this villain, and so like it's meant, and so like you're like, okay, who's this villain? What's this villain? Because like Ben and I have not continued watching Digimon throughout our lives. However, Digimon Adventure Try doesn't give a shit about that. It's like you either have continued to watch Digimon since Adventure or you haven't. And if you haven't, well, sucks.
Yeah.
But it was a good time. I really enjoyed going through those movies. Look, it's Digimon Adventure. Those are great characters no matter what. Regardless, like they are the characters we grew up with. Just growing even more. So looking forward to finishing off that. And then the next movie is coming out this month in Japan. Very excited.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And then finally, and last but certainly not least, in the description below, guys, of course, the Fickner Book Club archives are up there. Lots of archives have gone up. 2 weeks full of archives. Great stuff in those archives. I almost mentioned Alien vs. Predator, which isn't one of the great things, but like there's Secret Empire, which is really fun in the archive. But Ryan's picked this time with Taskmaster, the Rubicon Trigger.
Yeah. Hey guys, I picked another Taskmaster book. Hey, it's good. Because that's a cool character. Jed McKay, great writer.
Really liked going through that book, Ryan. Really funny. I really liked how he writes Taskmaster. All right. But sorry, I'm just turning down the AC. It's getting a little hot. All right, guys. That's all the links in the description. There's plenty of things down there, and there's so much more you can find on this channel if you want to. You guys can check out all sorts of things. Just check them out. We work really hard on these guys, and we like doing them. We hope that you guys enjoy doing them as well. Plenty more in the future. So that's that, though. So who wants to go first? Here it is. Who wants to go first of their week?
I'll get it out of the way.
Go for
Hey guys,
it.
have you heard of a game called Baldur's Gate 3?
Yes.
I've heard of it. Yes,
I've heard people are quite smitten with it.
It's pretty good. You bang a lot of people on that game. I played a lot of that game. Like a lot of that game. I'm unfortunately tragically unemployed. So I played so much video games in the last 2 weeks. It's almost like kind of insane. But it's not just been Baldur's Gate 3. I've played literally probably like over 12 games, not into completion, but because of Xbox Game Pass and because of my attention span, I'm just jumping between games left and right. But I love Game Pass because they're adding games literally every day. Some of them are download only. Some of them are on cloud streaming only. So I don't have a good enough PC. So I've been very fortunate enough I pay for it, to use the cloud streaming. And because we have decent enough internet, I can play high quality games on my lower end PC. So I've played about 4 or 5 hours of Gotham Knights. And that is a perfect Game Pass game. I would not spend $70 on that game, but it's pretty fun. Everything is pretty good. But when everything is kind of just pretty good, it all evens out to, man, this game's all right. The story's really good. I'm enjoying the character stuff. It's the problem, man, of like, if this game came out after the first Arkham game, it was Arkham Asylum and then Gotham Knights, people would not be shitting on it as much. But the fact that we've had 3 Arkham games and this game feels like a regression is kind of a problem. But it is good enough. Again, I didn't buy it for full price. So like all of the character stuff, all like the supplemental stuff, like reading emails, talking to characters, all that stuff's great. The people who made the game clearly love the comics. The problem is it's a video game and you got to play it, and it plays just fine. It is a completely super reductive version of the Arkham games because you are splitting all of Bruce's abilities between 4 characters. And at where I am right now, I am early. But the tech tree and, upgrading your character, like, I don't care about the perks. It's like, oh, you get 10% more damage or 15%. It's like, I don't care about that. Give me a cool ability. And you do unlock that stuff, but it takes a long time. And the most frustrating thing for me is, and why I don't want to play as all 4 characters, because it's a single player game. You can play as 2-player co-op with someone else, right? I've had random people jump in my games and stuff, but like, as when you play in the Arkham games, you have the glide, right? And you can glide really fast, and you can, when you climb to a tower, you can zoom up to make it go really fast. You don't have any of that stuff unlocked at the beginning. So all you have is a grappling hook for all 4 characters. So you grapple up to a point and you jump on it, and you grapple to a point and you jump on it. And you have to traverse the entire city that way until you unlock the legendary flying ability for each specific character. You know, Nightwing has the glider, which is like a Fortnite glider. Batgirl, she plays the most like Batman. She's a bruiser who has a glider. Jason Todd has his astral projection teleporting, which is fine because, you know, this is a more mystical version of the DC universe as opposed to like, you know, like the movies or something. So I'm cool with that. And then Tim Drake has a teleporting thing because he's a tech boy. Those are all fine. You don't unlock all of them at once. You have to play the game as those characters for a couple hours and do these specific knighthood missions to unlock those specific flying abilities. And it takes a couple hours for each character. So I'm going to spend like 6 hours just unlocking a way to play the game faster. And that just immediately...
It's not like a fun grind. It's just kind of feels like a grind.
It just feels like a grind. And like all the side activities, like, hey, you guys play the Arkham games, you've played the Spider-Man games, you know what type of things these are. You'll run into, oh, these guys are robbing a armored car and you have to defeat 8 thugs. Oh, for bonus experience, take them out using this specific armor. That's what Spider-Man did, right? Like specific like ability. So those are littered throughout the city, and the combat just isn't great. It's good. It is totally serviceable. And if the rest of the story and that stuff wasn't better, I would have dropped the game off already. Because it is super bullet spongy. I don't want to play as Nightwing, and when I'm fighting 8 random thugs, each thug takes 10 hits to kill. Like, that's just not fun. It is much more of an RPG than it is a traditional Arkham game, which is cool. But like, you see the numbers on top of their heads, and every time you punch someone, 35 damage, 20 damage, and I'm just like, I just want to play an Arkham game. I don't want to play this bad RPG. And it has a really bad gear system. The costumes look cool, but like you have to upgrade. Like, oh, I have a new batarang that has +4 power, and I'm like, this is just like a live service game that's single player. So I will probably continue. Go ahead.
Real quick, like one of the things that was fun about the Arkham games is when you did upgrade, you got like more shit, right? Like when you had like the I remember the ice grenades that you had in Arkham City. Like if you upgrade that, you get more of those, which would help you when you were fighting like Clayface.
Yeah.
But like I don't get, like, why would you be like, oh, my batarang is now slightly stronger?
Yeah. Again, like there is like the knighthood missions where like it is like the legendary stuff, but that takes a long time to do, and you have to like, oh, defeat 5 mini bosses, do this training mode, do these 3 things, and I'm just like, that's just a checklist. It doesn't feel fun or like organic. As opposed to like you meet Lucius Fox in the game, and because like, you know, this is after Batman died. The Bat family is taken over, and that stuff's great. I really like that stuff. Lucius shows up and he's like, hey, I'm gonna help you. Here's some stuff. And then it's just like, here's 20 icons on the map. Go do these things to unlock fast travel. And I'm like, can you give me like a gun or something? I don't know, bro. So Gotham Knights is totally like the best 7 out of 10 maybe ever made. But like, there's so many other games that are grabbing my attention. I'm going to roll through some of these quickly just because I played a couple hours of each. I played some Back 4 Blood, which is the new Left 4 Dead game that is now like 3 years old at this point. It's totally good. It's totally fine. If you played Left 4 Dead, it's not as good as Left 4 Dead, but it's really good. You know, if you want to play a horde shooter that's, you know, narratively based, you know, go through acts to get to like a final big confrontation, like it's totally good. Game Pass game. Definitely, it's great. I've played a lot of this game called Chivalry 2, and that is a multiplayer online medieval combat simulator. And it's 64 people, and it's 32 versus 32, and you have grunts, and like it's siege battles and cannon battles, and you know trebuchets, and it's hardcore realistic. You get killed in like 1 to 2 hits. It's not like, you know, it's not a bullet sponge game. Like you have a weapon and you have to dodge and you have to parry and you have to riposte, and if you get sliced in the head, your head gets taken off. It's really cool. There's a great thing called a battle cry where you hit square and your dude just goes, yeah. So there's literally 30 people just screaming into the battlefield, and it looks really great, and like the dismemberment's really great, and it's just a lot of fun. It's like a great podcast game. A lot of these games are great podcast games. The last thing I will talk about is I've really gotten into Sea of Thieves, which is a pirate game that I've always wanted to get into. Came out 2018, and when it came out, it was very, like a lot of these live service games, not a lot to do. That first year was pretty bare bones, skeleton bones, I could say. But 5 years later, there's so much shit, y'all. It is like, oh my god, like the only problem with it is that it is a full-ass multiplayer game where like you are on a pirate ship and you need other people to help, because otherwise if you're by yourself, you will get destroyed. It is a multiplayer-esque game, but I've been lucky enough to just try random crews, because you can do your own thing, or you can try to join other crews. And the people that I've joined have been really helpful and really receptive, and I've talked to them on mics, and they've helped me learn about the game and like, guided me through it. And it's an incredible game, man. Like, it is. I can see myself like losing myself to that game, because the amount of customization, the amount of cool pirate stuff, just singing sea shanties with your friends. When you talk in the game, your character's mouth talks. So like, I'm hanging out with ghosts and pirates, and everyone's just chatting along, playing like sea shanties. It looks beautiful. It is so fun to just like go on treasure adventures, and then like you see a ship on the horizon, and that's a player. That guy might come fuck with you. And you're like, I'm scared. I have so much loot. I don't want to die. But that's a pirate game. And like, that was what originally scared me off of it. It was like, it is a PvP game. Like, you can play with your friends, and you can do like player versus enemy stuff, but you're still in a live world. And that always scared me. But now I'm a little older. I'm not as scared of other people as I used to be. I'm like, yo, what's up? Let's just try it. And it turns out like sometimes other people don't want to fight either. You will walk past the ship, or drive past the ship. What do you
Sail.
What the? I don't know words. You'll sail past the ship, and you have like an old school megaphone, and you can use the megaphone to yell at other sailors. And I'm like, hey, yo, we're not pirates. Don't attack us. And then they'll go, you're good, bro. And we'll just pass each other into the sea. It's really great. It's a great live service game. But again, it took a long time to get there. But the community is really passionate. I heard the community is really toxic, and I haven't met any of those people yet. Luckily, the 2 people that I've met have like taken me under their wing, and they're like, yo, dude, let's do whatever you want. I have like 20,000 jillion gold in this game. I don't give a shit what we do. So like, I was raiding underground temples, like Indiana Jones. I was going on these fortresses run by like ghost pirates. It's so much fun. And it looks like a Pixar game. Like, at this point, with like the Xbox One and PS5 advancements, it looks incredible. And the waves are the best looking water I've ever seen in a game. And there's just something really fun about spending 10 minutes journeying with a bunch of people to a place, and you guys are just singing sea shanties, and you're packing up and you're getting ready for a voyage. It's like the best adventure game I've maybe ever played, next to like Elden Ring. I love it. I've been playing so many video games.
I have a question about that one. That's
Yeah.
not the one by the Assassin's Creed guys, right?
No, that is Skull and Bones, and that game has still never come out. That game was supposed to come out 5 years ago.
Jeez.
I do want to play that game too, because I love Black Flag, that Assassin's Creed game, but that game is in development hell. I think it's coming out soon. They were doing betas this year, but Sea of Thieves, it's a game I love so much. I might start streaming it once I become good enough, because I don't want people watch me be a bad pirate. That's not fun. Well, actually, maybe fun. Getting sunk is pretty fun, depending on who you're asking. But yeah, I'm playing just so many video games. I love it. I love video games so much. Ben, what do you got?
Ben, you got something?
I do have something about video games, but it's a mobile game, and it's a game I've been playing for quite a bit. Actually, it's taken me away from Tears of the Kingdom, because I'm still in the game of Tears of the Kingdom. Same. But as all of you guys know, I've also been getting really into Pokemon trading card game. I've been trying to build a deck. I've been looking at places where I can play in tournaments, because I kind of want to compete. I am having a lot of fun. And while it is a mobile game, I gotta say the Pokemon TCG live game for your for like iOS and Android is pretty good at getting you ready for tournaments. Now, I talked about the Pokemon trading card game for the Game Boy Color game, which is a great way to introduce you to the world of Pokemon TCG, but it's very outdated, because there's none of the new cards, there's none of the new sets. It's all older rules, and the rules have changed they changed ever so slightly in the 25 years in the TCG's existence. But live is like the current rules, the standard rules. When the new set gets released there, you can get the new set on your phone. And while it is a mobile game, you think, okay, it's probably riddled with microtransactions. It's probably riddled with ways to like, oh, do this. There's none of that. I've been looking up and down this entire app to try and find a place where they'll tell you to spend real money to get stuff in the game. It's not there.
Hell yeah.
I could not find it. It's just, well, if you start out the game, all you have to do is just like make a Pokemon account, and you can start playing. That's it. And now people ask, well, how do I get new cards? Well, you get new cards by 2 ways. You play the game, and you get because there is like a battle pass, but it's not a battle pass where you have to pay money for it. There is like different tiers of in-game currency, but you can get those but essentially you just get that in-game currency just by playing the game. It might take a while.
Sounds like Marvel Snap in the same way. Where
It kind of is. And another way to get cards is if you buy cards in real life. So like I guess the gotcha, or because it is all random. Because there are times, there are things like whenever you get a booster pack in a game, it's all completely randomized. So you have to like find your altar of RNGesus and pray to that. But one thing I actually do like is that to get more cards from certain sets, because when you open up a pack of Pokemon cards in today's day and age, they always come with like a little code card with a QR code on it, and that's for Pokemon Live or Pokemon TCG Live. And you just scan that and you get that booster. I mean, not that booster pack exactly, but you get a booster pack from that set the game. So it's like, hey, I have a bunch of Pokemon cards IRL and I have a bunch of Pokemon cards here. Of course, what you get in the game and what you get IRL is completely different. But still, it's like, if you like Pokemon, and to me, this is a good way to like train for tournaments because I am running a Charizard EX deck and I'm going up the ranks a little bit.
Are you going to do a tournament?
I would like to someday.
Nice.
I like playing in real life because my deck in real life is nowhere near tournament ready, but I'm having a lot of fun with this and I'm learning and playing. And as I'm playing, I'm obviously like learning different strategies, learning how to, because there's one time I lost a match where I let my emotions get the better of me, where instead I played this one card instead of the card, instead of putting a Charizard where I was supposed to. And I would say this is the Pokemon TCG Live is a great way to learn modern Pokemon. If you like Pokemon, if you played the Pokemon TCG on the Game Boy Color through the Nintendo Switch Online, or if you have a cart, but you want to get more into, but you want to learn how to play the standard, more recent game, I would recommend TCG Live, but there is a bit of a curve to it. As in, if you play ranked standard match, you might get ranked with someone who has a bunch of Pokemon V cards and will stomp you.
Mm-hmm.
And there are times where I've been playing where I've had horrible draws, where I've gotten knocked out in the third turn because I don't have any spare Pokemon on my bench and I just get frustrated. And there are also times where I have the best hand ever and then I just go, let's wreck their shit. And I destroy them. I stomp on them. And it's great.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely say, if you like Pokemon and you want, I would say treat Pokemon TCG Live as more of a learning tool and something to prepare you to see. Because when you start the game, you get a whole bunch of starter decks and you can pick and choose whatever you want from them.
Mm-hmm.
To get more decks, you have to do a whole lot of. It's either you buy cards in real life or you just have to play the game a whole lot. But one cool thing is once you win matches and you rank up, then you get into like a different sort of league in a way. But once you go from the Quick League, which is the beginners league, to the Poké League, which is like one of the more populated leagues, now that's when things get a little bit spicy, and you have to make sure you start winning, because if you win matches, you gain more champion points. But if you lose matches, you lose some.
Yeah, Marvel Snap has they have the infinite ladder climb where like I'm like rank 49, right? And when you get to 100, then you enter like the pro league basically. And then it's become a national rank thing of like the top 25,000 players. And I've never gotten there before because I am definitely not good enough. And I try really hard. And I got to 80 once. Bro, 80s, like I felt like a god. And then I was stuck at 80 for like an entire week because I kept losing a lot, winning a lot, losing a lot. And I'm like, I need to get better at this game. I'm never gonna hit infinite. And that's like an easy thing apparently. I'm like, no, you're liars.
Yeah. Real quick, just acknowledging the chat. Hi, Mint. My friend Mint in Canada. Hello. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing well, Mint.
They definitely have a favorite on this podcast.
Yeah, she does. Well, she's been on pause menu twice, so
I know. I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to, because when I was playing Pokemon TCG, like last night, I'm like two ladder tiers away from the next league, because it goes Quick League, Poké League, Great League, Master League. And Quick League is like, the beginning, Poké League is there because I'm like two things below, but because I lost a whole bunch of matches last night, I dropped I'm gonna say division. I dropped a division and then I went right back into it. So it's one of those things where I'm just like, how am I going to fix my deck? I mean, I want to buy more. Obviously, I want to buy more cards IRL because I'm trying to build my own deck and play with it. But also, I want those cards. I want those codes so I could put those codes into my phone, get a bunch of booster packs, and you have a bunch of things to play with there as well.
That's how they get you.
Yeah, I mean, that is how they get you. But once again, now I'm learning. I'm learning what a good championship deck works with, because I am able to like go up and down. It's just I need a lucky break. And thankfully, from what I can tell in like actual Pokemon IRL tournaments, because with like a card game, with a lot of card games, you can have good draws, you can have bad draws, and these
It's
games,
the heart of the cards.
it is the heart of the cards. And on this game, it's very much a one and done. Whereas I think a tournament, it's like, okay, it's best of like say best of 3, so you get another chance. So if you have a bad match, it's like, man, I had a horrible opening hand, and then it's like, okay, now I have a good opening hand. Now I have a chance.
I love. I'm slowly getting, because to bring up the card game I do play, Marvel Snap. They do have also a similar thing. It's called Conquest, where instead of doing one and done battles which rise or lower your rank, Conquest it's like a match. You have like 10 health points. And Ben, have you played any Marvel Snap at all, even a little bit?
Oh yeah, I play Marvel Snap.
Okay, so you know the snap mechanic, like so
Yeah,
you get
of
10
course.
cubes. So you get 10 cubes, right? And like you play until somebody loses all 10 of their cubes. And it's like an attrition match where like you can play up to 5 rounds. And on that 5th round, both you and your opponent know each other's cards very well because you've played 4 matches with each other. So it becomes incredibly hard to read. Like, okay, I know exactly what you got. What are you going to do? Like, it makes it really, really fun and like challenging. So like that is an aspect of card games I also like, where it's like best of 3. Because like, oh, you got to like learn your opponent.
Yeah, there are 2 decks or 2 deck styles that I've come across, which instantly every time I see them, when I see them play a certain card, I groan because I know that they're just gonna be like, I am gonna hate you so much. It's cards that have to deal with the Lost Zone and Giratina cards, and it's just. Ugh. Because
I got something that we can all understand the reference. There's a new card that came out this season called Eliath. He was the big smoke monster in Loki. His ability is when you play him, destroy every single card on the other side, whether it's revealed or not revealed. So that's an instant win card. And it's real, and like that was like a special card, like so not everyone has that card. So anytime I fight that guy, I always lose because I don't have a counter yet. And I'm like, shit, damn it, I gotta get good so I can get this card.
Yeah, for me, every time I see like certain cards, I'm like, I know what this person is doing. I hope and pray the harder cards are on my side so I can get my Chars, because I have multiple Charizards. I can put my I can get my it is illegal actually. So I can get my Charizards on the field, ready to fight and just throw down, because the other guy is like, oh, I'm gonna do like a whole bunch of like combo crazy TCG bullshit.
Do you have the fusion card that turns them into the wait, what would it be?
Polymerization?
What would the 3-headed Charizard be? The Blue Eyes White Dragon Charizard.
Red Eyes Black Dragon Triple. Oh no, that one exists actually.
That exists. Hey, sorry, Ben. Go ahead.
No, it's all good. No worries. But yeah, Pokemon TCG Live, it's pretty fun. I'm enjoying it. It's been taking me away from Tears of the Kingdom, because matches do last. It's not like Marvel Snap where matches are quick. These matches actually can last a good long while. But if you really want to get into the sense of competing in Pokemon TCG, I would say it's a good way to learn. It's not a perfect app. I will say the app has some problems with it. But if you are serious, or if you are like, I want to really give this a shot, this is a good place to start.
What's nice is basically all the big card games now have online mobile versions. Like Magic the Gathering has one that I've tried. I know Yu-Gi-Oh has one that people really like. I don't know what other card games exist besides the ones we just talked about. Arcana. Disney's Arcana is like popping off. People really seem to like that card game.
Oh, Lorcana? Yeah, I haven't gotten any cards for that one yet. Yeah, I have the app on my phone. I just haven't played it yet.
For anyone who cares, Charizard's eyes are light blue, so it would be the Blue Eyes Orange Dragon.
Blue Eyes Orange Dragon. That's great.
All right, go ahead. Sorry, continue.
No, that's pretty much it. Just playing a bunch of Pokemon, trying to be the very best that like no one ever was.
Stuff like that.
I forgot about this card. Sorry, the Blue Eyes alternate Ultimate Dragon, which has like a bunch of heads. All right, anyway, sorry. All right. Anything else?
Like a Hydra.
Anything else, Ben?
No.
Okay. I'll only talk about one thing, but I read a couple issues of Invincible. Now that the show's come back, I'm getting back into the comic. Don't have a lot to say about that because I'm only a few issues back in. I started One Piece. watched the first episode of the anime. I've got 1,000 more to go, so like I don't have a lot to say about that.
I was also going to start watching One Piece, not to finish it because I will die before that happens, but just so I have a base, because I do want to watch that Netflix show because people really like it, and I want to have some knowledge of it.
Yeah, that's the way I did it, and I was like, the worst that happens is I find an anime I like. So, but I've watched and I've listened to a lot of Doctor Who. As I've been listening to a lot of Paul McGann's Doctor Who stuff. He's the 8th Doctor, for those of you who don't remember. And I finished his 4th series, which is the final series before they go into their Big Finish. I used to do what they called the main range, which is like single episodes that they would just release as like discs, and then they started doing these box sets, and that's what they've been doing since, which had multiple episodes included. So I basically finished that. And this one was really cool. This season was really cool because it brought back Susan, which is the Doctor's granddaughter from the William Hartnell series, way back, ages ago. And so it's the same actress coming back to do this. And so what happens is the Doctor shows up on about 30 years after he left her on this future version of Earth that was ravaged by the Daleks. And he's like, hey, long time no see. I'm your grandfather. I know I look a lot younger now, but hey, let's reconnect. Turns out he's got a great grandson who's part Gallifreyan, part human, which is pretty cool. And she kind of appears again, because the Doctor has this issue where he's dealing with this. He's starting to deal with an older Time Lord called the Monk. So we all know the Master, but there's also the Monk, the Ronnie, the Valeyard. There's other evil Time Lords, and so this one is the Monk, and so he's come back to fight the Doctor. But he's got a companion of his own. But the kind of main crux of this series is Lucy, which is the Doctor's companion for this season and has been for the past 3 years, for the past 3 seasons. And she's great. I love her. She's played by Sheridan Smith. She's wonderful. And she was such a great companion for the Doctor. And the final 2 episodes, which are called Lucy Miller and To the Death, are heart-wrenching. Just heart-wrenching. I was listening to this at work, and I was like, I was laughing, I was crying, I was just in my cafeteria, just like there's some funny moments where I just kind of like had to like not laugh. And, that like podcast listening laugh, where you're just gonna in a public space.
Yeah, don't listen to Auntie Donna ever at a job, because you'll just like burst out laughing and people will look at you funny.
Yeah.
Like, what the hell?
And it was To the Death, which is the final episode of this series, was really emotional because there's so much, as the title states, a lot of characters die. And the reason why that happened is because Nicholas Briggs, who plays who is the voice actor for the Daleks, but also the director of Big Finish, he wanted to make a truly terrifying Dalek story. The Daleks they've been around so long, you can kind of like, they're not really that scary anymore. And he wanted to really push it and make them feel like they're threats. So like the Monk's companion dies, the Doctor's great grandson dies. It's really something, and it was really well directed, and it was really well acted. I almost blew out my earphones because there was a nuclear bomb explosion, and I had that thing at full blast because it was so loud around me. All of a sudden, it was just such good stuff. Like there is nothing like Big Finish Doctor Who. Even the show doesn't go as hard as those audio adventures go, because they have carte blanche to do pretty much anything.
Yeah.
It was awesome. Like I don't want to spoil too much because I know Spark specifically is going to listen to some of them eventually, and it's going to get to them eventually. But the 8th Doctor is such a fun era of Doctor Who that the shows obviously never did, because he never had a season. But it's really, really cool to listen to, and then revisit some older characters. Like I never heard of the Monk before. I've heard of the toy maker because of the new series, and I've heard of the Ronnie and the Master, obviously, but I've never heard of the Monk. And so like I'm learning more about like classic Doctor Who, and there's the Ice Warriors that are like the Martian like turtle people. That was kind of cool to listen to. Some of the villains in here are weird to listen to in audio, especially like the Daleks, because you know they're kind of like exterminate is really difficult on your ears if you're listening to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really good stuff. Like I'm so glad to kind of be as like entrenched in Doctor Who as I am, and there's so many different places where I can go now. Like I've already compiled another list for Sparks to give me some more episodes of just like the wild shit. There's a whole season of Paul McGann's Doctor where he travels with Mary Shelley, the creator of Frankenstein.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. So I'm gonna listen to that next. Anyway, a lot of fun, really cool stuff. I really want to shout out just like Sheridan Smith, like killed it as Lucy Miller. She was great. Her final moments in that episode are something truly to behold. Like, just like, oh my god, guys, so good. I cannot express it enough how good some of this stuff is.
Love it.
But that's all I will talk about for now. So why don't we get into our bread and butter?
Yum, 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 yum.
Oh. Are we back? Cool.
And you just your mic.
5, 4, and we're back.
I'm back. All right. Some sad news up top. Talk about real quickly. Shauna Tripsick, I believe is how you pronounce her name, who is a costume designer, has been a costume designer since the 90s, where she worked with Coppola didn't direct it, but it's a very good version of Frankenstein that Kenneth Branagh directed it. The Kenneth Branagh directed Frankenstein.
That's the Robert De Niro one.
Yeah, I really like that movie. Did a bunch of stuff on Whedon shows for like Cabin in the Woods, obviously, but Dollhouse and Firefly Angel. But most recently, she did Torchwood also, which is cool. Most recently has been the lead costume designer for the Mandoverse shows for Lucasfilm. So Book of Boba Fett, Ahsoka, Mandalorian, all those, Obi-Wan. But
those shows look great. Those shows look great.
Those shows do look great. Great costume design. She passed away at the age of 56 due to unknown causes.
That's a shame.
Yeah, that really sucks. That's too young to go. And she had won an Emmy. She was Emmy nominated this year for I think Mandalorian. Yeah, that's a real shame.
Yeah, that sucks.
And then Michael Gambon passed away at the age of 82 due to pneumonia.
This was a bit of a shocker because when I found out, I was at Halloween Horror Nights, and right before we went to one of Maze's,
I was too.
Yeah, and yeah, and we went through the Wizarding World. We went to Harry Potter: The Forbidden Journey, the big attraction there, and I saw the flower in Dumbledore's office. I'm like, why is there a flower there? And my fiance said, "Oh yeah, he died today." I'm like, what?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean he died?
Yeah, so that's obviously he's probably most well known in our circles as a second Dumbledore, the person who replaced Richard Harris. Look, that was no small feat. Like, I can't express enough. Richard Harris was perfect for the role, and Michael Gambon really came in. Everyone loved him on set. There's so many stories you can talk about. There's the most famous one where he has a fart machine in Daniel Radcliffe's what's it called? Sleeping bag that he's playing his prank on Daniel Radcliffe. Obviously a lot of fun on set, but he had a long career. I mostly know him as a voice actor. He's Uncle Pazuzu in Paddington.
Yeah.
Isle of Dogs. He's great in Isle of Dogs. Like I really love his voice work, and I know Sparks would talk about this if he was here, but he's in probably one of the best Doctor Who episodes of the Stephen Moffat era, which is A Christmas Carol, where he plays the Scrooge character. And he's incredible, just brings you to tears. Like, it's an incredible movie. It's an incredible episode, and he's performing it just so well. He was truly a great performer. Obviously, I'm sure we've seen all the stuff online about how he would always lie in interviews, which I never knew about.
I didn't know that. when the news
That was
broke,
really fun.
well, when the news broke or when I found out, I haven't been seeing clips. I haven't been seeing anything. But
Mhm.
the only I want to comment about the other role I remember seeing him in, and it wasn't like you said, Brandon. He was a really good voice actor, and the only other movie I remember seeing him in outside of the Harry Potter films was the Fantastic Mr. Fox.
Yep.
Yeah, he's
And
great.
like when you hear, because Michael Gambon, he has that voice that when you hear it, you know it's him. And even though he doesn't really change his voice when he's performing to different characters, but he's just that good of an actor that it's like, oh yeah, that he's being this character, or he's being Dumbledore, he's being whomever. And like his voice is just so iconic. It's kind of like a Morgan Freeman style voice where it's like, oh, that's that guy.
Yeah.
But instead of me saying, hey, that's Michael Gambon, I'm like, that's Dumbledore.
I didn't remember that he narrated Hail Caesar. That's funny.
Yeah, and he's the Arthur in Kingsman: The Golden Circle.
Yeah, I'm looking at his IMDb now, or on Wikipedia.
Yeah,
he's in so many movies, and I've seen all of these movies, and he's just a great like character actor.
Yeah.
He's not really like the lead in any of these movies. He's just like, yo, this dude shows up and he rocks. And those are the best. Those are the best actors. In my opinion.
Yeah, I really liked him,
Remember him more.
honestly. Like, I wasn't, to be fair, like I wasn't crazy about his Dumbledore. And like I don't think that, Harry Potter. He was in like 8 of those movies, 6 of those movies. But like, he was a great actor, and he was, one of the he was often the highlights and things. And I've watched a lot of his interviews since finding out that he lied in so many things, and he's so funny, and he's just such a joy. He's like kind of this like large child a lot of the time, and he clearly just wants to have a good time. He very much Anthony Hopkins energy a lot of the time, when he's just kind of like, he doesn't like doing interviews, so he's just kind of making shit up and just trying to have his fun and live your life like that.
Yeah, rest in peace, man.
He will be
Long
missed.
ass legacy.
Sad loss.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the WGA and the SAG-AFTRA strike update is thus: the WGA strike is over.
Woo!
As of 2 weeks ago, this WGA strike has ended. I believe it was on a Wednesday. And the big takeaway is they won big. People put up a comparison of the final paragraph of both this WGA email that went out and the one from 2008. And the one from 2008 is very sad. It's like, hey, we fought a good fight. We got what we could, and we did what we could. But, there's always next time. And then this one is like, this was because of you guys, your dedication. We did, like, there was such a different energy here. And Adam Conover has a great video, as always. He's just constantly putting out great videos about these strikes, detailing just like what it was that they won, how they were able to win it, combating the AMPTP's misinformation campaign, the crisis PR firm just not doing a great job. The negotiating committee was treated like rock stars at like this like meeting. Incredible stuff. I didn't think they get everything. I thought they get most things, but they got everything pretty much.
Yeah, it's the type of thing where I'm like, damn, maybe I'll want to be a writer again.
Right? Like, people are just like, did we just save our career?
Yeah, no, like for real, like, wow, you got all the things you wanted, and it's like, it's not like pennies. It's like, it's kind of unbelievable.
Yeah. So let's go through some of them. Some of the big ones we've been talking about are streaming residuals and AI. So AI protections have been granted, and like incredible and like really great stuff, because there was a lot of stuff. There was a lot of talk like studios aren't budging on AI. It really feels like the studios, their best and final was just like, fine, let's just get this over with.
Yeah.
You see like the studios who just kind of like, we're just glad it's over. They're defeated. Like that is the only way to put this. So the AI protections are thus, and discussing film obviously has been great on Twitter, talking about the strikes and things like that. So obviously they have a much more in-depth breakdown than I'm probably going to give you. But one of the big things was that AI cannot take a writer's job. A writer, if one of the things that I saw was that if a studio has generated an AI script from ChatGPT or something, they have to disclose that this was AI, and then the writer who is brought on to rewrite that script owns that script. It becomes their script. They will own it outright, and they will be paid for not a rewrite, but a first draft, which is great.
Yep.
Like that's huge. And one of the other ones is that the studios can't mandate that they use AI, but a writer can choose to use them if they want. Like we've been talking about, it should be used as a tool, not as a replacement.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of stuff like that in there. One of the other things is the streaming residuals. Now, we didn't get the streaming transparency I was personally hoping for. I really was hoping that they'd finally have to release the numbers to the public. They do not. The WGA settled for what they could, and what they could is really good for them, obviously, because the one of the counters was that the AMPTP was going to say that the streaming numbers can be granted to only like 6 members of the WGA board, but they couldn't tell the writers. That's not the case now. The AMPTP, so Netflix, Amazon, they have to say, give the WGA those numbers, what their shows are doing, and the WGA board members have to tell the showrunners for their shows so that they can negotiate proper residuals, because now we have streaming-based residuals, better streaming-based residuals than we were having. I think it was like a 20% increase.
And I wouldn't be shocked if, not like today, but if in the future this shit gets leaked hard, because
Absolutely.
how many like NDAs, all this stuff, but there's 10,000 writers. Like what? Like come on, like come on.
Oh yeah, no, things will definitely get leaked, and obviously,
I need to know Red Notice's numbers. That's the only.
Me
movie
too.
I honestly like, whether it's good or bad. I just need to know, is that really like one of the highest viewed movies of all time? I don't believe you. I just don't believe you.
I gotta know. That's the one. That's the one. Tell me that one.
Yeah. I'll believe Bird Box and all your other bullshit if you show me the Red Notice.
But like as Ryan mentioned, they will be under an NDA. The WGA cannot tell the public what they are.
Yeah.
Someone could leak it, and I'm hoping they do. But yeah, so one of the other things, minimum staffing was granted. I think with a show of like 6 or less, it's got to be 3 writers plus the showrunner. And then it goes up from there. There's like a tier. The fear, obviously, with that is that the streaming services will just order less episodes so they don't pay writers. But that's just shooting yourself in the foot. Like, that's not going to work.
There has been not pushback. Well, I mean, there was pushback. Certain like what's his name? Tyler Sheridan, the West guy.
Taylor Sheridan, yeah.
Like, he likes to write all the shit on his own. So like, I disagree with that. I think when you're writing a television show of that scale, like, having one person isn't always the best. Now, like, if you've worked, well, I mean, he's worked for a long time, so like, I don't know, like, he's like an exception, but like, more writers on something is not a bad thing. More eyes on a project is not a bad thing, because one person can be really focused and narrowed, and they can miss out on potentially, you know, like, troublesome stuff, racism stuff, just anything. Like, having more eyes on a project doesn't mean it's going to be interfered with and changed. It means you're just getting more help. And so people view it as like a glass half empty, glass half, like, it's like, honestly, guys, it's not a bad thing to get more help. It does not mean they're going to take your job. Like, if Taylor Sheridan gets like an extra writer, he's not going to take his job, right? Like, it's just having extra eyes and like a different perspective on the rhythm of writing.
What's wrong with just giving someone some money for a couple of months with no work? Like,
well, that's another situation of conservatism. Like,
right, exactly. Like, that's the thing. If you want to write your show all together, which, by the way, I don't believe Taylor Sheridan writes all of his shows, because that dude puts out too much shit. He's got to have a ghostwriter. So like, he's got to have. If he doesn't have a ghostwriter, I will be shocked, because I don't think he's that talented. But he could be. I don't know him personally. But also, like, he's a billionaire. Give just a new writer, someone who's up and coming, just a check for a couple of weeks worth of work.
He's made more money off of his farm than anyone would ever make in a lifetime. Like, give a poor writer a chance.
Right, exactly. Like, these things are just there's so much here there's foreign-based streaming residuals. There's a pay raise of 5% in the first year, which is unheard of.
I'm sorry, I apologize. There's something about the writers room thing that I forgot to bring up as well.
Yeah.
It is so hard to break into the industry as whether a writer and a producer, anything. Trying to get you from the ground up is really hard. So if there's a bunch of projects who only have a solo writer, then your chances are very much limited. And like if you want to work in a specific field, like the hardcore detective genre, like, you know, that's like True Detective is written by one dude, like the Tyler Sheridan shows are written by one dude, like no one will be given the chance to do that unless you give them that opportunity.
Yeah.
And if they hold like I'm the guy who makes all these detective shows, no one else gets to, that sucks. So let some other people on board. Again, they're not the showrunners. They're writers who are given a chance to like show their chops too. Like it's just a difference of like conservatism and like giving people a chance type of thing. Just like
the thing that it used to be that, you know, for 22 episodes, right, you'd have a writer's room and you have a showrunner and you'd have a couple of assistants, and the assistants would get a chance to write an episode every now and then because you have 22 episodes, you need to fill the space.
Yeah.
And then if that episode was well received, that assistant is in the writer's room in the next season.
Yeah. And
that doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah. I don't want to return to 22 episodes for everything because, again, I don't think every show needs like that much filler for some things. But like shows that we're not talking about. The one show specifically was written by one guy, and like I like that show a lot. But like I think another eye on it could have helped it probably a little bit. You know, like I think like movies are different than TV shows. There's so much more real estate. There's so much more involvement. Like I understand having a vision.
So many more moving
parts. Vision needs help. Vision always needs help.
Mm-hmm. There's so many more moving parts there. And the thing that with less and less episodes, what you can have is you can have that extra person be there as a sounding board, as an assistant, as or even a second writer if you want someone to take the load off of you. But it just helps. It helps the people coming up. It creates a ladder for people to become the next Taylor Sheridan, to become the next Jon Favreau, to become the next Dave Filoni. Yes, I specifically mentioned that for a reason. And like the thing that like I like that I really like about this is that you don't need to use their advice, but now that they need to with less and less episodes, the studios and the streaming services are using that as an excuse to pay people less and to use less people. You know, we talked a lot about the mini rooms that would be like, oh, we'll break a story for no pay, and then one person from that room will go off to write the whole episode, write the whole season. That's been completely dismantled thanks to these deals. Like now you have to pay these people for that time. But like you can't treat writers as unpaid labor anymore, and you can't cut off a pipeline that has been around for decades, a pipeline that has worked for decades. You just can't cut that off anymore. And we've found a way to create that pipeline again and strengthen it.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about a TV show, like because it's about the subject. But like She-Hulk. She-Hulk is a show that had a writer's room. The last episode of that show showed us the writer's room, and half of those people were like comic writers. That part doesn't matter, but that is a writer's room, right? And every one of those episodes is written by a different person. And I think most of those episodes are all still really good because despite having different creative persons per episode, there's a writer's room where they're all talking about it all at the same time. And like, oh, cool. You have the idea for that episode. You'll work on that episode and you work on that episode. They're all still talking in sync. And like, again, I don't know if every single small show needs that, but having more eyes on a project is never hurtful. It never is harmful. Because you always need fresh perspectives, because sometimes you just miss something. Sometimes there's just an editing problem you don't see. There's a writing problem you don't see. And more eyes is always, editing is so important in the arts industry, and like more than you think.
Yeah. When you control something from start to finish, you lose perspective. You lose you lose a thread, you lose something. And when you have more eyes on it, which is why movies work mostly, you know, you got the writer turns it in, the director directs it, and then you get the editor. There's all these kind of checks and balances until you get to the final product, and oftentimes it works really well. And with TV, there's become this idea that the showrunner is also the only person with creative control, and if they're the only person in the writer's room and they're the only person who has final say, something's missing, something's getting lost there. But if you add that extra person, sure, maybe they get an episode, maybe they don't. But if that extra person is there, you have a higher likelihood of creating a better product.
Absolutely. I'd rather have the help than not have it.
Yeah. There's so much more that we could talk about in this, and frankly, like a lot that I don't even understand that I'm just glad they got, because like, again, this is a huge win. This is not just a huge win for the writers, it's a huge win for labor. They have won against a greedy studio system that has frankly become a money laundering scheme.
Yeah.
And it's really great to see this momentum carry forward into what now SAG-AFTRA has gone into meetings. Then they've been in meetings all week. They will be in meetings probably all this week, and hopefully they can get a good deal as well.
Yeah.
This is great. This is a huge win for labor. This is a huge win for the writers. This is a huge win for Hollywood. This is the most optimistic I've been about Hollywood in a long time.
Yeah, and it's the type of thing where like, if you give people opportunities, like they will show up, right? Like it's not like people don't want to work in Hollywood. It's like they don't want to work in the shitty system of Hollywood.
Yes.
And if we can change that, it'll not only attract more people. Again, like hearing this, like, I moved to Hollywood to be a film director, and like that, I don't want to be a director anymore, but like I still love writing, and I don't do enough writing on my own. But like hearing this of like, oh, I would actually get paid like for the rest of my life for something that I worked on, like how it used to be, like that makes me like excited about like pursuing something. I'm not, but you know what I mean? Like it's the future seems bright for people who want to work in this industry, as opposed to like, well, like I'm really good at writing, but like I guess I'll just work at a restaurant my whole life because like they will never pay me enough. And I'm like, no, you have a chance now, not just because you'll get paid, but you'll get staffed, like no matter what. Like the future seems really bright, and if the writers can get this. And again, like this is not me disparaging writers or actors, but like actors are more important in the scheme of Hollywood than actors, right? If the writers can get this, then I think the actors can get absolutely everything they want to. And it'll be beautiful. It'll be copacetic. There'll be so much synergy. People will want to work. So many more TV shows will be good. Like this just seems like an uphill, like, man, thank God. Oh my God. Like we did it, hopefully.
I mean, it's what they always talked about, right? With these strikes, like we're not fighting for new things; we're fighting for a system we already had.
Yeah.
You came in, you broke the system. We are trying to fix it. This is how you fix it, and they did.
Yeah,
and hopefully there's not as many loopholes for the studios to wiggle the way through. Yes, the streaming bubble bursts, which clearly is. It is beginning to burst. The idea of infinite growth needs to go away. These protections will help the writers, will help the industry. This win will help the industry a lot, as well as the writers. So hopefully another win is coming.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe it.
Well, so because of this, all the late night shows have returned. SNL's coming back. Jimmy Fallon's back. Stephen Colbert's back. Drew Barrymore, however, is not back. Because
I wonder why.
All of her staff writers have refused to return to the show.
1 week. It was 1 week until the strike ended. Drew, you were Hollywood's baby. Everyone loved you, Drew. Come on, my God.
She was everyone's favorite Nepo baby.
It's crazy how fast reality can turn on someone. It's so funny.
She ruined her whole public perception.
Wow. I won't lie. I have definitely missed like shows like Last Week Tonight and Late Night with Seth Meyers, because I love watching his closer look stuff on YouTube when I come home from work.
Same.
And it's to see them back on my YouTube feed. It's like, yay, they're back. But also, I feel like this, like the whole Drew Barrymore bit, kind of deserved it.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, and like, again, it was nobody thinks Drew Barrymore is a bad person. It was a bad decision that she thought she was making the right one. And again, we talked about it. She deleted it. Like, there's a little more good faith there, but like, it's really funny. They were this close to ending the strike, and everyone was going to be happy. And like that show, I'm not worried about that show getting new writers, because people are always hungry for jobs. But like, to have like, I imagine those were like writers who've worked on the show for a long time, who probably like Drew Barrymore, and like just feel like they got the rug pulled out from under them. And like I wouldn't return either, if I'm being honest. Like,
no.
And what's great about this is that this new deal allows them the stability to be like, you know what, that job didn't respect me. I know now that job didn't respect me. I'm leaving.
Yeah, hell yeah. Again, like everyone deserves to get paid what they want, to be treated respectfully, work somewhere you want to work. So like, if they were good writers, hey, I'm sure they'll find a new position somewhere.
Not to get up on my labor soapbox, but like the horrible thing about capitalism is that we've for decades thought that we need to abuse our workers because we pay them less. They are lucky to work for me. No, you are lucky to have me work for you. That is how this is how this should work. And if you do not respect me, you do not get my labor.
I don't. It's always funny how like it's always like the rich people who don't understand this, but like if people want to work. I know it's a weird thing, but people like working and they like getting paid for like doing a good day's work. That's like I feel that's inherent to a lot of people. Like some people are just naturally lazy. I get that, but like I feel like most people like I don't mind doing something to get paid for it. Just pay me what I deserve, and I don't mind working for you. That's like everyone knows like a job is a job, but like if you just pay me and treat me with respect, I don't mind doing it. Like that's how the world works. But so many people are just like, what if we pay you less and treat you like shit? Like why? I'm here for you. I don't get it. Like it's so backwards.
Again, like it's so backwards. Exactly. Like I said, like I'm here. You're lucky to have me, not the other way around.
Exactly.
Like people were talking about. There's so many talking points on Twitter from all these blue checkmark shits where they're just like all the writers are lazy. That's why they're striking. No, all the writers have been very clear. We want to work. We want to write. We like our job. We are just not respected in it anymore, and we need to be.
Well, if those, I love those blue check marks. I'm sure all they do is watch like, what are the reality like Wheel of Fortune? What are the shows that came on like $10,000 Pyramid? Like I don't need those shows. I got $10,000 Pyramid.
Probably.
Good for you. And Dancing with the Stars, I guess maybe.
Golden Bachelor.
Oh, that's a winner. No, that one's fine.
I haven't seen that one. What's that? That's the old man Bachelor.
Yeah, and all the women are 60 and up, so it's not any gross shit. It's actually real love.
That's cool.
That's the only Bachelor I've ever been interested in.
I mean, I like that. I like the concept because hey, old people need love too. Also, just to go on my own like labor soapbox a little bit for a hot second. It also doesn't look it does also make like you look good when you talk about how great the job is, and then say if you want to leave, go because we have a line of people around the block waiting to take your position, and then they bitch and moan when you call out sick or when you ask for days off.
That's such a toxic idea of just like again it goes back to like people are lucky to work for me, and no. There's also like there's a lot of talk about like, oh shit, it's right there. No, it's gone. It's whisked away.
No, don't worry. I still have another thing. And also it makes no goddamn sense when they say we have so many people who are willing to work at our job and we're constantly understaffed.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, we have a line of people. Where the fuck are they?
It's because the money is going to the wrong place, right? It's going to it keeps going up to the CEO without taking any tax breaks.
Or taking a bath in gold coins, drowning in it.
People who claim to say we run this building great, and that's my hot labor take. So
but it's not a hot take, right? Like it shouldn't be like the thing of these labor movements that we finally said enough is enough. You do not respect us. You have been hoarding the wealth. That we're in a man-made recession because you decided you wanted 3 yachts. Like that's the reality. We're not in a recession because I'm not choosing to go buy Taco Bell today. I can't buy Taco Bell today because you wanted 3 yachts. That's how this worked.
Personally, I'd be happy with 1 yacht.
I'd be happy with 1 yacht too.
I'd be happy
I wouldn't be happy with a yacht. I would just be happy with enough money or a yacht so I could sell that yacht.
I'll take a dinghy.
I would even take a boat. If you want to give me a boat so I can sell it and pay off my goddamn student loans.
Boats and hoes.
Talk about predatory student loans.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've kind of gone on topic for the right, but like all of this is labor, right? All this point still stands. Like, this is all happening now for a reason, and it is all coming from the same place. These systems are broken and they need to be fixed because they are working for the wrong people. All right. Well, anyway,
it's not summer anymore, but hot labor autumn.
Man, it was 90 degrees yesterday. Yeah, it's
hot labor summer is still alive.
the weather was like, oh wait, it's still hot labor summer.
Yeah, we heard you.
Yeah,
no, I didn't want it.
Like Mother Nature looked at California, is like, oh shit, still hot labor summer. Okay.
You saw the trees are growing back in the Universal. See that?
They are?
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Nature's growing.
Someone was like, someone posted the picture of the trees and we're like, we're back, bitches.
Healing.
All right. Well, because of the strikes, obviously there's been a lot of things been announced. Because now that the WGA strike is over, people are going back to work. Stephen DeKnight is back on Spartacus, the Spartacus reboot.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
There's a new season of Spartacus coming out.
Cool.
So because of this, a lot of companies are going to prioritize second, third, fourth seasons, upcoming seasons of already made shows, rather than focus on new things. Obviously, there were some new things that were negotiated before the strike that will probably still happen, or they won't, depending on where the money lands. But for example, Netflix is mostly prioritizing getting Wednesday season 2 and Stranger Things season 5 out the door as quickly as they can.
Oh yeah, those kids are
Good.
40 now. Absolutely.
Yeah. So they want those seasons out as quickly as possible because age is definitely a reason, but also like that's the quickest way to get people back on.
Those are
back
like
to
the
work.
biggest, the two. Like Wednesday, I like Wednesday enough. I don't think it's perfect, but like that show was massive, like huge. And obviously, Stranger Things is a phenomenon. So like that makes sense. Honestly, like it is easier to return to a show than to like do like new productions. Like I get that.
Yeah, you've already got the sets. You've already got the writers' room has already been assembled. You're just like, let's get this one going.
Yeah.
Also, HBO has talked about they're prioritizing The Last of Us season 2, Euphoria, and White Lotus next season.
Yep.
No House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon's already done filming.
Oh, okay.
No, that one, because that was a UK thing. They were not they weren't part of this. They got to do their own thing.
Okay.
Yeah, most of the House of the Dragon actors were equity actors. I can't say how good the writing's going to be because their writers went on strike, but the equity actor they were able to film with all their actors.
Yeah.
Okay.
So hopefully some of those scripts were done before the strike.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
Because House of the Dragon is not a show that cannot have good writing. Because that's a Game of Thrones property, baby. That is George Railroad Martin.
Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power had already, I believe, finished filming by the time the actor strike had started. Things like that. There's obviously things that have already finished filming that are probably going to come out in the next year. But yeah, so we're going to be seeing a lot more upcoming seasons and less new things. Not necessarily a problem as long as we start getting some new things going now that the strike's over.
Yeah.
But again, SAG-AFTRA still fighting. So keep donating, keep supporting. Please don't let this strike lose. Like they can't.
It's not over yet.
Yeah. Speaking of SAG-AFTRA, though, they have approved a strike against the video game industry. It was a 98.32% vote for yes. So negotiations are stalled. A deal has not been reached. However, they are still hopeful for a deal, so a strike has not been called yet. So they are still working on that. So we'll see where that goes. There's nothing as of yet to report there. So
I'm still, despite it not going swimmingly like over the past few years as I hoped, I still have more faith in this one than I do the movies one. But it is troubling that like, oh, y'all didn't just agree to this immediately? Why?
Yeah.
Why are you being greedy CEOs all of a sudden? What's happening here?
I mean, it talks about like, who's in the room, like what are the who's actually talking? Like, is it Neil Druckmann? Like, I don't think he's in the room. Who's doing the negotiating?
Like the big Sony heads.
Yeah, so like that is a little concerning. They are hopeful for a deal to be reached, so hopefully there's one. Now, the strike authorization does not mean the strike will happen. It just kind of gives them leverage in the negotiations to be like, hey, if we don't reach a deal, we're going on strike. Like, there's no two ways about that.
And then it's like, haha, yeah, sure, go on strike. And then they go on strike, and all the studio heads are like, oh, we messed up.
Well, no, the studio heads will just go for 6 months being like, actually, we're going to win this because everyone's going to be homeless by Christmas.
Yeah. It's video games are funny because unlike movies where you like, man, because like you need actors to make a movie. You don't need actors for 90% of your video game. So they could do a shitty strike, right? And then all the developers are still making the games, and just they don't have the voice actors until way later than they're supposed to. And that's not a good thing, but it is a situation where like this isn't going to ruin the video game industry, but it is something they need to take care of because you need to take care of all of your people. Voice actors are important, but this is a situation because I literally just watched a podcast about this. Like, what happens if the actors went on strike? Video games used to not have voice actors. I used to have just all text, and there are a lot of games who still can't afford voice actors because that they cost money. So like, there is a world where like the games coming out the next couple of years could potentially like half of them don't have voice acting. I don't think that's going to happen because like we are so advanced now. This isn't the 80s anymore. But there is the situation of like, oh, we'll just put text in our game, and I'm like, well, that's kind of scary. I don't want to read everything again.
Yeah.
You know what this could do, real quickly, Ben. What this could do is, it, like as Ryan said, like you're working on your video game and you just wait for the strikes to be over to get your actors in. Could help crunch time because
That's true.
You're just working on your game now. You're just polishing it.
That's a great point, and like you don't have to worry about a release date because you can't voice your game.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Crunch is awful, and the video game industry itself is another one that you really need to get unionized, but it's a lot harder than movies, unfortunately, because it's also a much newer industry. And it's a lot like it's really Wild West in a way, like a lot of things are handled. So like, hopefully this is a good step forward. But like, this is again not me disparaging anyone. Voice actors are not the people I'm most concerned about with video games. It's the people working 80-hour weeks not making money. Yeah. Like though the actual game developers need unionization.
It's the same fight that the VFX workers are working.
Absolutely, 100%. Absolutely, like they are the unsung heroes. Like like Troy Baker, like Troy Baker's in The Last of Us, but also 200 people made The Last of Us, not Troy Baker. So like you got to like. We have to hopefully like this will open up the whole circle of like, everyone get on the strike board. Everyone, like I got more games than I could play for my entire lifetime. If no games come up for 2 years, no big deal. Get your money.
And also to the thing I was gonna extrapolate on when you were saying that 20 years ago games were all text based. The fact that a game had voice acting in it at all was an amazing accomplishment. I remember when like turning on my PlayStation and it's like, oh my god, there's voices coming out because I was just used to the like some of the 16-bit cartridges that
Metal Gear Solid 1, 1999, the first game that have an entire game full of voice acting.
And also like if you look at games today, like front runner for Game of the Year, Sea of Stars, no voice acting, all text.
Yeah, that's an old school RPG.
Amazing story. So I have a feeling that if the actors do strike and then allow companies decide to go back to text, I mean, the big AAA titles, it's kind of like you need voice acting nowadays. It kind of
imagine Spider-Man with no voice, my man.
I know, God, that would suck.
Not every game can do it.
But this could give rise to a lot of indie titles like Sea of Stars that don't have voice acting, and people realize like, oh my god, these are some amazing video games. That
didn't people kind of not get mad at Kojima, obviously, because Kojima is Kojima, but didn't he say like, you need to constantly be like moving with the times and upgrade, and people are just like, actually you don't, like there's a lot of really good 8-bit games still and things like that, and you can kind of be regressive there.
Absolutely, and the way he's talking about, he's talking about the way that I am. Like I'm a futurist, and I'm always looking forward to the future. He is a Japanese speaking man who English translate, like English is a second language, so like he comes off a little more like aggressive than like he means to. He's simply saying, man, like we like, he's not saying like text is bad. He's saying, but like we can't be stagnant. We can't be stagnant. We should be pushing forward because video games are the only industry that actually evolves. Movies, visual effects look the same, but movies have been the same for 100 years almost. Video games is the only industry where the actual way you play it actually changes per game and per decade. So like the way games are played 10 years ago are not the same they're played in 10 years from the future. And that's a problem. If games are still the same from 10 years ago, there's been no advancement in technology. That is a problem. So I hear what he's saying. He could have worded it better, but because he is a Japanese speaking man, like I'll give him some credit because like
right. But that's what I was talking about. Like what Ben's saying, like there's plenty of games that are just harkening back to that old style, those old style games that are good, and people are playing them because they want those games, and they're new version. They're new versions. The video game industry has a great amount of flexibility in that way, that you like, as Ryan has articulated really well, that you don't necessarily need voice acting for a lot of games. There could, and as Ben has said, there's a lot of indie games that could come out and really like dominate because they can't afford SAG-AFTRA actors. As Ryan said, there's a lot of flexibility here. And again, like as Ryan said, like there's plenty of time. Get paid. Get the money you're owed. Like we'll wait. We will always wait.
Right.
We will always say video game delays are good because it means less crunch.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And also just to, because I do, Ryan, I do want to agree with you, because I do believe that as much as I am a retro video gamer, as much as I love the older stuff, and I love it when I see brand new games coming out in 2023 that harken back to the older, like the older platformers, the older RPGs and stuff, I do 100% agree. Video games do need to evolve. And I kind of agree with Kojima as well that we can't stay stagnant, because the PS5 is an unbelievably powerful machine compared to even the PS3 was, and it's
Oh
stupid
God.
crazy.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Like looking at the like looking at just the advancement of video games from 1991 to today is just mind-bogglingly like, what
Oh.
the shit? Like,
Yeah,
holy
we went
crap.
from like like squares on a body like Lara Croft to like, look what God of War looks like. That
Yeah.
almost looks real, dude. Like, give me a
Yeah.
break. Like, and it's only again, it
nuts.
only is gonna get like bigger and better. But just like movies, that just means that the budgets are gonna inflate and you need to spend more time. And that's why games take 6 years to make now. And it's like it's that's a whole nother problem. But like
Yeah.
your point, Ben, about indie games is like that's what I love about the video game industry. Like anybody can make any type of game they want as long as you put your heart and soul into it. It'll take a long time. If you're one developer making a game, it'll take you 5 years to make it, but you have your sweet little indie game that will make, Sea of Stars is made by a small team, and that game is doing gangbusters. Also, it's on Game Pass. So like a lot of people are getting eyes on it who wouldn't have anyway.
What about No Man's Sky? Wasn't No Man's Sky a small team?
Oh my
It
God.
was.
Yeah, that's like a team of like 10 people, and they made like literally the biggest game ever made, because it's literally like trillions of procedurally generated planets. That's remarkable. Holy crap. I don't even know. Thank you for bringing that up, Brandon. I don't even know how 5 people, or like 5 to 10 people, they started small and they've grown bigger, but like how a dozen people can make that. Like, I'm just not that smart. I just don't see it. How do you do that?
Let's move off of this real quickly.
Yeah.
Because there's one more thing I want to bring up, which is that SAG-AFTRA and the AMPTP have been meeting, which is great. Hopefully they get the good deal. Disney VFX workers have unanimously voted yes to join IATSE and the VFX union, joining the Marvel VFX workers. They will face the same the same struggle. So, sign those petitions, get these people unionized. The goal is to get the entire VFX industry unionized. It'll be a lot of work. It'll be a long road, but it's going to be worth it, because those people, like the video game industry, need it. They deserve it. They are carrying this. They are carrying the film industry on their backs, and they're being disastrously underpaid for it.
I have one little joke that I've been holding on to for a while. Ever since Bob Iger came back as Disney CEO, and he has made all these blunders as CEO with the writer strike, now with this, I am constantly reminded of, you were the chosen one. You were supposed to destroy the Sith, not join them. When he came back,
look, he showed his true colors. Like he was. We always knew he was a CEO. He cared about the bottom line. He cared about the infinite growth bullshit. But we never really he kind of put on this mask of like, well, I'm the nice one.
He had better business sense than this.
Yeah. And this is
what it is. Like, and he is a shitty billionaire, but like of the shitty billionaires, he's the one who seemed to have like the most going for him. And then he immediately just like, no, let's just get rid of all that shit immediately. I hate everyone. Everyone hates me. I'm like, all right.
Even in his book, he was just like, yeah, I don't think the way I handled the Lucasfilm deal was great. And everyone was like, I'm kind of glad you were honest about that. And then he comes back and does this, and you're like, what are you doing?
Like, I remember when people were like, when the news broke that Disneyland ran out of I'm celebrating buns because Bob Iger came back as CEO because Chapek was doing such a shitty job. Now Iger is, like you said, Iger, like, look, Iger is CEOs, billionaires should not exist. CEOs are a bunch of shitty people. But like you said, Iger was the one that was the most likable. It's like, I'm not the fan of CEOs, but at least Iger, pre-Chapek era, was like, at least he got, yes, he's made some mistakes, but he's got a lot of good stuff going for him.
But now, to be fair, you're bringing up Iger, obviously, because I mentioned this, because of the Disney VFX workers. This is not a Disney specific problem. This is an industry problem.
Right.
Iger is just, in this case, working in the system. Every industry needs unionization, but like every studio abuses the VFX industry because they are not unionized. We talked about it with the Spider-Verse. Animation and VFX in video games suffer the same problems, suffer a lot of the same crunch problems. And we talked about with Spider-Verse how there was a lot of crunch with Spider-Verse because the studio that not Sony Pictures, the studio that Sony Pictures hired to make Across the Spider-Verse is not unionized. So they could abuse those workers because the contract was probably made for an aggressive, was probably done under aggressive terms to be like, hey, well, we really need this job. We'll get this and this and this and this. And you guys can abuse us and walk all over us and pay us very little because that's the job we need to do. Well, if you're all unionized, that doesn't happen anymore. You create an industry standard, which is what we're seeing with the WGA and SAG-AFTRA. They have industry standard contracts that are up every 3 years. They get negotiated. So again, that's a long-winded way. By the way, this is another 3-year contract that will be up in 3 years, and they'll go back to negotiations, and this will happen again. But
yeah.
Finally, on the strikes thing, Gavin Newsom has vetoed the unemployment bill that was going to help striking workers. Screw you. Screw you.
Another guy who I'm like,
shit?
like no politician is almost perfect, but like, you know, we live in California. He's a quote unquote Democrat. Like, he's been pretty good about some things, but like, well, why now? Why are these people now like, I'm just gonna show my ass now? I'm like, but you haven't had to do this before. I don't get it.
He's kind of this politician of like, I'm for workers. Like, even Biden went to like the auto workers strike, didn't he? Like, you know, I'm pro workers' rights. Like, this is workers' rights. This would allow people to. The stupid thing is this conservative idea, as Ryan said, of this idea that the people don't want to work. That's not true. People do want to work. They just want to be respected while they work. They want to know that they matter. People love thinking that they matter. If you keep telling people they don't matter, of course they don't want to work because they're fucking depressed.
Yeah, a little piece of paper on that's attached to my break room that says "You are so appreciated" doesn't fucking work.
Like, that's the thing. I don't want to get Ben like all riled up because Ben is very much.
Don't worry, they're gonna give you another pin.
Of the three of us, Ben is the one who is least respected in his workplace because like he's very representative of this idea of like, this bill could have helped so many people fight for their rights as workers. We want to be in the workforce. We want to make money because we want to buy things. We want to put money into the economy. We want the economy to flourish because we live in this economy. We don't want the economy to. We don't want to ruin the economy. We live here. I love my house. I don't want to lose it. Of course I want to work to keep it.
This is the same guy who gave us like during the pandemic like unemployment like checks, right? Like, why are you now being an asshole? Like, again, this politicians, man, I'm just like, when I've never told you this. When I was younger, I wanted to be a politician because I was like a young liberal. I'm like, I'm gonna change the system. And then I grew up and I'm like, there's no shit. I can't do shit. Nothing's gonna happen with me in office. So hopefully somebody else will do it because it ain't happening here.
I mean, this is probably happening because Newsom's going to make a play for president when Biden's done.
And like, all things considered, he is not the worst, considering who might also be running. Oh my God, it's gonna be great. So like, just like, I was gonna shoot myself, I guess.
Did you guys see the latest Make Some Noise? With Brennan's Trump impression.
Yes, absolutely.
I saw the clip of it.
He never told them he had it because then they would make him use it a lot.
All throughout the Trump campaign, throughout the Trump presidency, he just never told them they had it. It was really funny. Do we want to, before we get out of here, this is the last bit of news that I had. Before we get out of here, do we want to talk about what happened with Epic?
Oh my gosh.
Epic,
if I wish I wasn't going to talk about it. There's like a month's worth of nonsense. I can try to quickly go through it. I would have been more prepared if I knew we were going to talk about it.
It was just an ask. We can say no.
No. It is. I thank you for bringing it up. It's just like very quickly. Well, Epic laid off 900 people. That was awful. Lots of stuff happened with Unity as well, with the video game engine going from subscription service to a per install basis. So tons of indie developers were gonna like lose lots of money, and that was really scary. The last month in the video game industry has been really tough. Specifically, again, Epic losing 900 employees. And then just going, like, we just need to restructure our format. And, despite Fortnite being the biggest game in the world and it making us billions of dollars, we're also going to upcharge the V-Bucks and everything. And it's just like, it's just awful everywhere. No matter where you go, everything's awful. Epic is like the biggest company because of Fortnite, and they laid off like 16% of their workforce. Like, nobody's safe, Benjamin.
The co-founder of Epic left.
That's right. That as well.
Straight up said that Epic is becoming something I did not sign up for. They are
becoming, dude.
And when one of your founders a guy who has created this. I can only assume this gentleman created Fortnite, helped create
No.
Fortnite.
Oh,
Or
he helped. He didn't start with Epic. He joined Epic like only a couple years ago. But he was big into Fortnite. Yeah.
yeah, like, but he was like one of the top guys. Like he is
Yeah.
one. I heard he was like a co-founder of Epic, or he was like top brass. He's up
Yeah.
there on that bracket. And the fact that he just straight up said, "I'm gone. It's not what I wanted to be. It's not what I signed up for." All these things, it's like this bodes poorly.
I
for
talked
Epic.
about this.
Yeah.
Ben and I actually talked about this with Sparks this week. A little bit about what was happening with Epic, and Sparks seems pretty certain that they're going to ruin Fortnite. In this kind of chase for infinite growth. The weird thing about Fortnite is that you actually do have infinite growth with Fortnite because there's always new people being born and playing Fortnite all the time. So you have all these new customers, and the fallacy of infinite growth that we've talked about in like the film industry and like streaming is that eventually you plateau. There's no more people buying Netflix. There's no more, like, Disney is doing the password crackdown bullshit because they've plateaued already. There's always people that are just going to be like, everyone who wants Netflix has Netflix at this point. But for Fortnite, that's not necessarily the case. It's going to slow. It's going to get slower, but it's not.
Yeah.
You're always getting more things. And like Brian said, Fortnite's a money printing machine. So what is this new course correction that you want to do? Like, Fortnite, for the most part, is an ethically created game with very little microtransactions, not a lot of things that like bog down other games.
The only thing that you spend money on a Fortnite is a costume. You're not making the game easier. You're just, hey, do I want to look like Batman today? Give us a couple bucks, and that's what Fortnite has been really good at.
So many people have failed. So many video game developments have failed in the search for the Fortnite model, and Fortnite just is coasting. So why ruin that? What are you doing?
They're trying to find a problem, and they're just trying to say that they fix it. They're like, "Oh, this is a problem. We're going to fix it."
But what I don't understand is what is the problem that you need to lay off 900 people? That's a lot of people.
It is. It's a lot, and not only that, because there was a the actor who played the sketch artist in Haunted Mansion. What was his name? He's
No,
I didn't see it.
No, the guy from The Daily Show.
He used to.
Oh, Hasan Minhaj.
Him. He did do a show that I want to say it was on Max or Comedy Central or something, but he was also talking about visual effects artists and a lot of those artists who also were working in video games. And he brought up Fortnite, about how you need artists, about how Fortnite could do all these different things, but you constantly need programmers to make sure that when you have freaking All Might from My Hero Academia dance to Doja Cat, or you have Master Chief doing Gangnam Style, it's like, yes, you have to make sure that it looks good. It has to match a palette, or has to. There's a lot of stuff that you need to do with these artists, and laying off 900 people, which I can only assume a lot of those are going to be artists who make that shit possible. And Fortnite is a game that's adding skins all the goddamn time. This is going to shoot itself in the foot.
Here's what I'm worried about. I don't think, because Fortnite is their big cash cow, I don't know if these 900 people were all from Fortnite. I think it's from other Epic managements that aren't as important as Fortnite is anymore, and they just want to focus on Fortnite. So let's get the redundancies out of the way. I forget his name, but thank you for bringing it up. And like the guy who left the company, it's one of like the most damning things I've ever read, like as a resignation. It's not I'm leaving amicably, blah blah. It's like, I don't like the direction this company's going, so I'm leaving. I'm not leaving the games industry, but I'm leaving this company. And that is like horrifying. And the thing he said was like, Epic is trying to turn into like not just like a service, but like a platform. Like they want to be like a Google or like Epic is Fortnite. That's all it is. Epic has like its own game store like Steam or the Xbox Marketplace, but it sucks. Nobody likes the Epic Game Store. The only people who use it are games that are exclusive to Epic, and there are a lot of exclusive Epic games that you can only play on there. A lot of people play Fortnite through Epic because it is their service, right? So like they're riding so hard on Fortnite, and it is a great game. I've played it for years. We talk about it nonstop, but like, you don't need to change anything about that game. They just want to make more money. So you lay off people and you raise the price of the V-Bucks, the thing that you buy in game. for no real reason. It is the thing of infinite growth, Brandon. Like they are the most profitable game in the world, and it's still not enough. It's still not enough for them. And it's just like, we can't fight that. There's nothing we can do against people who think $1 billion isn't enough money. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing we can do against people like that. It's just, you gotta vote when you can. You gotta put your money where your mouth is. Vote with your wallet, sign petitions. Like, you can only do so much. But when the billionaires are in charge, like, yeah, we'll just cut 900 people. Who cares? Like,
I don't think you've ever said anything more perfect than, how can we fight someone who thinks $1 billion isn't enough money?
Yeah,
like that is just this is a great encapsulation of just this whole episode, like, that we've been talking about with the strikes, with this, like, that is just, you're so right. $1 billion would fundamentally changes your brain chemistry. Like, if I had $10,000, that's life changing.
Oh yeah, dude, I'd be going to a casino right now.
But $1 billion
just fall into my lap, I would just be crying with happiness right now.
$1 billion is an unfathomable amount of money that I will never see in my life, ever. And these people make it a minute, and it's not enough. It's not enough, and that's ridiculous. This is not the end of what's going to happen. This is the beginning, and that's what scares me the most. This is just going to get worse.
I have a 5-year statistic of how much money Fortnite's made. Can you guys guess how much Fortnite has made in 5 years?
$2 billion. No, that's too low.
I'm just going to say it. It's $26 billion.
Holy shit.
That's one game. And listen, the server side, like, it is a massive game that holds millions of people. Like, the server costs for that size of a game, it's massive. To have a team of that size is massive. Like, that's all a lot of money. $26 billion covers it.
Mm-hmm.
That covers it. Yeah, this one was extremely rough, and I feel like this has been a rough month for the video game industry. Like, again, because like the Unity stuff, like, so many indie developers were scared they were going to lose their livelihoods because of, like, yo, that game that came out and sold millions of copies, now we're adding a per install rate. So every time someone installs a game, you owe us 20 cents. What happens if your game sold 2 million copies? That means you owe us $200,000. This is for indie developers who don't have money. This counts for Game Pass. Sea of Stars, man, one of the biggest games right now. It's big because it's on Game Pass. Because of Unity, when the thing rolls around, every single Game Pass download, 20 cents to the developer, hundreds of thousands of dollars they don't have. It is like, it is really rough out there, and it's like really scary. And like, strikes like these need to happen. Like, fighting for everything. Like, it's like we talked about it. Like, labor, it's an incredibly important topic for the entire world at this moment. No matter what industry you're in, you got to fight for your right.
Cult of the Lamb is also one of the games that people were freaked out about, and they even actually made a TikTok. It's like, look, we're not going to delete our game off of the store, but just letting you know, shit's going to hit the fan soon.
They did, the day that happened, they reversed it, but the day that the Unity announced it, they're going, very cool, guys. Hope you download Cult of the Lamb before January, because we're deleting it because we cannot afford that. And that's a huge game. That we should not live in a world where, whether you're a small time writer for a big television show or a small time indie developer, if your thing makes like gangbusters, if it gets a lot of attraction, you should get paid for it, no matter what industry.
And you're talking about how Sea of Stars was on Xbox Game Pass. I was able to download Sea of Stars for free because I was a PlayStation Plus subscriber, or still am a PlayStation Plus subscriber.
Yeah.
And it's on my hard drive ready to go because it's like, hey, I heard about this great game at no extra cost to me, but it's like, it's on my thing, and I cannot wait to play it. I am wanting to play this game because every time I see things about Sea of Stars, I'm like, this game looks absolutely fantastic.
And the incredibly shitty thing is, Ben, in 2024, you downloading that game and not playing it costs the developer money.
I know, and that makes me upset.
That is unfathomable to me. That you could bankrupt a company, dude, if you just uninstall a game. If thousands of people did that, that would bankrupt a company. Like, you could mass target a company by doing this, and like Epic or Unity did not realize this.
No,
and they had the biggest shit show.
That's like the worst. That's like a worse version of review bombing. That's not even.
It's it's the career bombing. It's money bombing.
Oh God, I am just. Ooh, why'd you put that in my brain, Ryan? I am now so afraid of video game developer. Not. This is
the thing. This is the thing that we're talking about with the video game strike, with the upcoming video game strike. Like, say animation, VFX, video games, they suffer from a lot of the same problems. There are a lot of greedy people who are like, there's a lot of people who are running these companies that don't like the thing that they're running. There's a lot of people in animation who don't like animation. There's stuff like DreamWorks I didn't put in the news this week that DreamWorks Animation is going to start outsourcing to non-union animators. They laid off like a ton of their animators. There's so much of this that people aren't protected because there are billionaires who come in and they want their billions and they want to cash out with their Christmas bonuses and their, hey, the company didn't fail this year bonus, and their, I need a 3 yacht bonus, and like where these people get food stamps for bonuses. They get a gift certificate to Universal Studios as a bonus. You can't say
pizza
you
party.
can't Ben, you can't say that your company is making record profits and then say in the same breath, but we don't have enough money to give you a Christmas bonus, so here's a coupon for 5% off on at the food stand. You can't do that.
Epic is still hiring people. It's not like oh, we're not hiring any people. Like, no, they're still hiring for other positions. Just we had to lay off those 900 people. So I'm like, oh, okay, fine. It's incredibly unfortunate because, you know, like we talk about art and people want to work on beautiful pieces of art, whether it's a game, a movie. People want to be in the industry because they're passionate about it. And what happens is like everybody who works in the industry gets taken advantage of because the people upstairs know you want to work here. So like you're going to do whatever you can. You will suffer as much as you can because you want to be a part of this system. And that's got to change. You got to be like, it's got to be inviting. Like people want to work there. You got to make sure like that, like they're happy to work there. And like, again, this whole episode's been about getting to a place where people are happy to be at work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's all about again, you are the person they need, not the other way around. And we need to get back to realizing that the employers are lucky to have you, not the other way around. Mm-hmm. That if there's a theme to this episode, we have a theme for the first time in 6 years. There's a theme to an episode. You have value. You are the person they need, not the other way around.
True believers.
All right. Shall we? And don't be a dick.
Yeah, don't be a dick. Is that
Shall
the reason? Did you? Okay, so Brandon, I know a lot of times when you pick out your shirts to wear, it's just random. Did you actually pick this one for a reason, or
no? Perfectly cool. It was a coincidence. I was going to wear a different shirt, but I lost it.
Okay.
All right. So that'll do it, guys. That's the whole episode. Thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully we radicalized a few people. All right. Guys, there's plenty of shows that you can check out if you like us so much. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. If SAG-AFTRA strike ends this week, maybe we'll be back this coming week. But if not, we'll be back in 2 weeks, as always. So stay tuned. For that. But there's plenty of other shows you can check out on this channel. If you like this video and subscribe to the channel, there's so many things, guys. My show Conversation is on a brief hiatus for October. Sorry. I've recently started. I'm working Halloween Horror Nights, and it's taking a lot out of me because those hours are 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. and that sucks. So it's going to be back in November, and it's going to be weekly. I'm going to get those. I'm going to get those out weekly. Not going to take my time too much there. So stay tuned for some really great conversations in the future. But guys, Fake News Watch also on hiatus. But Basement Arcade is not on hiatus. And like I said up top, there's so many Basement Arcades, guys. There's Dead Space parts 1 through 5. There's Tall Poppy. There's Dark Deception. There's Mortal Kombat 11 parts 5 through 6, which I think is taking a break for all of October until we get to Aftermath.
Yep.
So stay tuned for all that sort of stuff and plenty more Spooktobers. This is Spooktober, guys. It's Basement Arcade Spooktober. It's our holiday. It's our big month where we get to put Ben in front of a scary game and we scare the poop out of him.
Yep.
My favorite time of the year.
Mm-hmm. So stay tuned for more stuff like that. But of course, Fake Nerd Book Club is active. You can check out so much of the archive, guys. There's so much book club we've done this show for 6 years. There's a lot of book clubs. And you can check out the most recent one, which is Taskmaster, the Rubicon Trigger, which is Ryan's pick. My pick is next. I still need to pick that. I'm sorry.
You got time.
Animation Station is done with Digimon Adventure Tri Future. That's in the description below. So stay tuned for Last Evolution Kazuna, which is the final Digimon Adventure.
What's a Kazuna?
I don't know. We'll find out.
Oh, okay.
I think it's a Digimon, but I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it.
Kazuna Mon?
Oh, it's not Mon. Ben, what's Kazuna?
I have no idea. I thought that was
I'll
It
watch
might be. It might be tied to the movie, so don't worry about it.
I'll watch it again. The other shows, go to fictorpodcast.com to find all the shows and what they're listed as and what's on hiatus and what's what. All the links are there at fictorpodcast.com. You can also find our links to Patreon and TeePublic if you'd like to support us financially, which are also linked below, or you can find all the websites on the website, fictorpodcast.com once again. Oh,
It's Japanese for Bond.
Bond. Last
Bond.
Evolution Bond. Interesting.
Makes sense now. Okay.
James Kazumia.
Thank you to everyone who listens. Thank you to everyone who watches the live show, and thank you to everyone who watches the replay. We really appreciate all of your support. Thank you to Jeremy Vellucci, co-host of The Real Score, which is currently on hiatus. But you can also find him at Jeremy Vellucci _ Wreck of Time on Instagram, where he does all of our music. He does all the music you heard here today and all the music you hear for all of our shows. He also does his show, Suburban Proctologist, on iTunes, Facebook.com/Suburban Proctologist Official, or Instagram at Subproc Podcast. Once again, thank you to Mike Patola, who did a couple of our logos, collaborated with us many times. We love that man. You can find him at Mike Patola on Instagram and TikTok. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Victor Podcast, VictorGuys@gmail.com. I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter, where you can also find me writing for AtomicGeekdom.com. Ben, where can people find you?
Well, they can find me championing the hot labor summer continuously, even though we're technically in fall, but it's California. It's always going to be freaking hot. At BenMagnet27 on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Threads. You can also find me writing for Old School Gamer Magazine, Fusion Gaming Magazine, go to Tendo.com, and playing Mary Frankenstein in D&D Dark. And also, guys, guess what? The show's coming back.
Next week, right?
Yeah, next week. Yeah.
Oh,
It's
wow.
coming back next week. And this past week, we recorded another episode, and spicy shit is happening.
I am genuinely excited to listen to it again.
Cool.
Ryan, where can people find you?
You can find me just living on the high seas of Sea of Thieves and murdering fools in games such as Warhammer Vermintide, Warhammer Darktide, Chivalry 2. I've also been playing Red Dead Online. If you play any of those games, hit me up because I want to murder with my friends. At DJ Tony Snark.
You can also find Sparks at SparksWitty on Instagram and Twitter, SPRAKZWitty. Subscribe to us on your podcatcher of choice, rate and review. Wherever you get us, we greatly appreciate it. Like this video, subscribe to this channel. Until next time you see us, guys, stay fake, nerds.